How you doing, fans? Excited to have you back out for another episode of In the Sand podcast. I am so excited to continue to bring you great content almost daily now, and that just shows you the response that we're getting. But it also speaks more about the guests that I have on. I reach out to them, and they put me in their busy schedule because again, even though we're in the off season for basketball, coaches are still busy. Of course, we had Coach Tillery from Starkville on. In her middle of her season, she carved out some time. Of course, we had Caledonia as head football coach Michael Kelly, and they're preparing for the spring. And he fit me into his schedule. So I'm just blessed to be able to get these coaches here with me. Before we get started, just to remind you, make sure that you check out my IG page because we are throughout the year, we're going to support different organizations, different causes. And right now we are supporting St. Jude. And so each guest that you see, I'm challenging them to be able to share the post and get other people to donate on their behalf. Again, thank God that, we don't have anybody that's in St. Jude, but there are a lot of families that have kids who are going through different illnesses. So we just want to do our part. This podcast, of course, is to promote positivity, but also shine a spotlight on coaches, because coaches sometimes, as I've been saying episode after episode, we get an unfair judgment of who we are. You pay your admission at the door, and then you come to the game and you see us for a very small segment of our lives, and you paint a picture of who we are. But we creating this platform and using this platform to educate you about who we are a little bit, but we're doing it in a very positive manner. So I am super excited about having our guests on. We have Coach Jerrick Porter from Pelahatchie High School on. Coach Porter and I, we have known each other probably the last 7 to 8 years, and it's been an amazing relationship. To be perfectly honest, our paths kind of just met. He was at Noxapater at the time, and I was at Pisgah High School. But at the time, I didn't even know Coach Porter. I did the scheduling with the girls' coach, Coach Robinson, at the time. So I had no idea who Coach Porter was. Most of my conversations and my dealings were with Coach Robinson. And so, of course, we had an opportunity to coach against one another. But one thing that everybody knows about Coach Porter, he is a genuine person. And even in the middle of competition, he reached out to me, gave me some very encouraging words, and has always been that kind of guy since I've known him, a guy who is very spiritual. And when I mean spiritual, sometimes people hear spiritual and they think this man really walks by what he believes in Jesus Christ. And that's a statement. And you're going to see that in this interview, why he has had the success that he's had on and off the floor, because he puts God first. And that's an amazing thing. And then another thing about Coach Porter is that these last couple seasons in my basketball career have not been the best. My last year at Pisgah, we started off very, very good. And Coach was very encouraging, because at that time his team wasn't doing as good, but he still spoke a high word to me. And then the ties kind of flipped. My team kind of went through some difficult times, and we wasn't as successful as we started. And he gave an encouraging word. At my school that I'm currently coaching at now, Richland High School, didn't have a good season at all, but one guy who stayed consistent and kept me encouraged and still keeps me encouraged is Coach Jerrick Porter. So again, he is a treasure. He's an amazing coach in his game, and I'm excited to be able to have him on. So Coach Porter, what's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I had to have you, man. Again, we had to work some things out when I first
That's
started
right.
this. You was gonna be one of my first guests, but I said Coach on that playoff run, so I'm gonna let him up
Yeah.
right now. But I said I gotta reach back out to you, Coach. So,
Yes, sir.
and I don't think I think it's gonna be a great interview, great conversation. I'm excited about it, to pick your brain about so many things basketball wise. But Coach, before
Yeah.
I do that, you're big on family, Coach, and you're big on family, and you're big on community. So before we get into the basketball side of it, talk to me a little bit about your family, because if anybody knows you, they know family is important. Like nothing trumps your family. And then, Coach, talk to us a little bit about Pelahatchie High School, the city of Pelahatchie, your coaching staff, your administration, just things of that nature, because I know a lot of people are here to watch you and listen to you. So I want to give them some
Mm-hmm.
time. So kind of tell us about your family, and then talk to us a little bit about your community where you coach.
Okay. Well, as you know, I am a family guy. I really believe in that first, God, then family. I know a lot of people say that, just the cliche of it. I mean, is action. I'm an action kind of guy, and my family knows it. And
Yeah.
the background came from, I think we all could, some could, most of us could really take from. I didn't have a father in the home when I was growing up. My mom, I saw her doing everything, and that just taught me, if I ever get married, to not treat my wife like my dad treated my mom, and
Mm,
I
mm,
stuck to that. And at the time, I didn't know anything about the Lord and things like that, but He just instilled that in me, to love my wife and to love my children. I mean, the thing I always said, I don't want my wife to want my children to feel like I did. So the thing to that, just be there, be present, be in their life, you know, be there with them first and let them know that dad is here, my husband is here. Like you say, it's all about action. You know, you can say those words, it's all about action. And I just believe in family. You can't do anything without your family. It's a saying that to make us a good man, you got to have a strong wife. A good husband, got to make a strong wife. I mean, I truly believe that. And I believe that you can just go ahead and say I have a strong family.
mhm.
And being in this profession, you need a strong family. You need a strong foundation, to back you up when you come home and when things are going, not so good. Because you never know with this coaching, this career here, as a coach and as a teacher in this profession, you don't know what the day holds. So we're just hoping that every day when we come home, we can get to smile and get the hug and kiss, your loved one. So that's to me is the most important thing. And I always pray the Lord, I thank you for each moment because it could be gone. So
Yep.
family is so important. My wife, she's also in education. Of course, she's at Richland, at elementary at the first grade at the moment. Uh, I have a 17-year-old. She's a senior this year at Northwest, and my 15-year-old, he's a ninth grader at Northwest, and my 11-year-old, she's a uh, fifth grader at elementary of Northwest. So, like you said again, I got a full house, and then of course we got another dog called Mila. that I never thought I'd have
Yeah.
a dog, a house dog. But the Lord blesses us to have a dog called Mila. She really is not a dog. She act like a human. I'm being honest with you. This is a Yorkie, and but it's my oldest daughter. She been wanting a dog for a while. I said you can get an outside dog. I'm good with that because that's where I grew up on. You do I think it's right, but she wanted inside, and for a long time I said no. But one day she caught me in the right time, and well, she called me at the right time, man, and we've been loving. I think we've been having for about 3 years now, and she's got it from a puppy, and now she's just amazing. She listens. She really follow instruction more than the kids do, and that's something, ain't it? That's something.
That's something great. That's something, coach.
Yeah, yeah, man. But overall, like I said, my older daughter, she's going to Southern Miss to be a forensic science.
Mm.
So I'm very proud with that, and she get this scholarship at to being a color guard. So we hoping and pray and all that come to it, to exist. So as for Pelahatchie, Pelahatchie have been there what for 2 years now, going on 2 years.
Yeah.
It have been a blessing. I mean, Pelahatchie, they embraced me with open arms. Like I told them before, I didn't never heard of Pelahatchie. I didn't know how to spell it. To be honest with you, know where it's at. So it took me a while to just practice on how to spell it. So
Me too.
yeah. So it took a while with that, man. But overall, just the community, they had open arms um, for me, and since then, they told me they would be there, and for the most part, they've been there. When I had ups and downs,
Mm.
even through, like you said, if you really want to know somebody, let them know, see you down, see where they at when it's all the things against the wall. That's when you see who people really are, and they really show me that they are very supportive. I mean, of course, anything could be better. We know we would love to have things better, but having peace of mind is everything, and having those people that know that they're going to be there for their children, that makes your job just a little easier. And in today's world, you already know how easier that you would love to just have a piece of it, especially the kids that we coach these days in 2023. So
True.
it's just a blessing, to have the students, the kids, my players. They all just wonderful. They just kids, and you miss that. You miss just them just being kids, and I think that's a beautiful thing to be at, and that what makes my job, like again, easier and be excited to go to work every day. I mean, administrating, we had a transition. The administrator that hired me, the principal that hired me, he's now Ted Burksfield. Dr. Burksfield is at Madison Central. He's the head principal at Madison Central High School now. But a great guy. He the one that hired me. Basketball guy, just a wonderful guy. He really was, and he still is. And then we have stayed in touch. Dr. Miss Anderson now, she's the principal. She's been at Pelahatchie for 20-something years. She left and went to assistant principal for Northwest Middle School.
Yeah.
And she came back to be the principal, and she just wanted for her and Mr. Nelson. And Mr. Nelson from Brandon. And it just, the administrators is very, very, very good. They're very, very supportive. Even the AD, Brian King, Coach King, he's very, very good guy, great guy. They're there. Coach Jones, the assistant AD, they all just there to support. Coach Jones is the girls' coach, and we both had to work together side by side. We there hip by hip every day, and just the things, dealing with, people every day and sisters and brothers. We have been there ups and downs, but we always still fight and strive for ups. So overall, man, just the school, like you said, the staff, the administrators, the kids. I bet people say, man, that's like a wonderful school to be at. This seems unreal, but to be honest, it is a great school. Like you said, it do have its downs. And when it do, it do. When it have its ups, it has its ups.
Yeah.
And you already know, as me, as a man of God, even though downs, I look at it as a opportunity to say it's something to continue to grow, because that's what helps you grow. I don't want good all the time. So it must be a problem.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
yeah, man, that's of course that's an amazing story, and I know we'll get to it later on in the episode, but I don't want to go into too much. But I might just talk about it a little bit just in case we don't get to it. But I can just remember you transitioning, but thinking about transitioning to Pelahatchie. But the part that I will stop right here, and we'll talk about the other part later on, is the interview process. And I know in a couple episodes with Coach Tadlock and with Coach Foster, we talked about the interview process. And to be honest, Coach, you and I, we talked about that because probably this last 2 or 3 years, you and I have been in some type of interview process from one school to the next. And we always would kind of talk about the interview process. But one thing that was different about your interview process that I haven't seen before, and Coach Tadlock kind of mentioned this a couple of episodes, is that, Coach, you had to go on multiple interviews for this job. And so when you interviewed after the first time, I said, man, I know you're going to be the guy for, because previous to interviewing, you had already been coming up some Pelahatchie games, get familiar with the community. So you had been doing your groundwork, which is something good for young coaches to hear who are listening, is that you have to do a lot more things than just look at the website, turn your resume in. There's some things you got to be able to do before that process starts. And I said it on a number of episodes that I learned the hard way that the interview process is a process. But also, too, Coach, in that interview, and this is nothing that I had ever seen before, but it actually helped me out, because when I applied for Richland, the same thing that you went through in your interview, I had to go through. And I talked to Coach one day, fans, and Coach said, Coach, they had me drawing up plays and had to go over scenarios and what I would do. And I'm thinking, like, they got you doing all that for an interview? So I said, Coach, what's going on here? But it's funny, though, how God works, because in my interview with Richland this past year, right before the interview was ending, they told me to go to the board and do some board work. They said, Coach, talk to us about a baseline out of bounds play, talk to us about these scenarios. So I was so thankful to God to be able to have that connection with you, coach. So talk to our coaches that may not be as experienced in the interview process, or talk to some coaches who've only been in one spot and haven't interviewed in a while, because the process, it seems like it changes from year to year. So coach, just talk to us a little bit about your interview process.
Okay, so well, you right. I mean, I would say, after all my interviews as trying to, get this job, I never really experienced that before. And that was, something that like you said, we all had to go through. And I called it a cheat sheet, had someone to tell me just be prepared because it's coming. And that's why to me it's so important to have a connection, to have a network, to have a group of guys or a group of girls or coaches, I just should say, coaches that been in it, mentoring. You already have mentors and people that already been in the fire.
Yep.
It's good to have someone that walked through those paths that you're trying to walk through. But you won't be, caught off guard or whatever. Experienced that before, then to have someone, like you said, the brotherhood that we are, that say, man, this is what I just went through, and you didn't even realize at that moment that you're gonna go through it too.
Yep.
So it's just something that I always take advice from people. And I always say take a lot of advice and just take the negative and throw it away and keep the positive out of it. So we now, people say every advice is not a good advice, but like I said, just take it and you can always get something out of somebody, anybody. And so that process, man, that the first thing you mentioned, the groundwork. What I did at first to set myself apart, I like you said, I went to some games. I made myself just familiarized with the fans. Didn't know who I was. I just sit alone by myself. I already pray and say, Lord, if this is a job for me, just stepping out on faith with it. And which, being at Northwest, it was just fine. I guess we'll talk about this in a minute about Northwest, but just being there, I mean, everything's fine. But I said, hey, I would love to get back in a smaller school. So I just I stepped in faith. I just walked in faith and say, Lord, if it's your will, it happened. So, like you said, get myself familiarized, going to these places, seeing how folks operate, seeing how people do, because they're gonna ask you these questions in the interviews about, this and that, right? So what I did was I did that first. Then I also did I emailed the principal, just introducing myself, when a job came available, just, if the job will come available, just this is Coach Porter here, Pelahatchie. I would just like to introduce myself and give them a little bit of my background, myself, just stuff like that. And like I said, you're setting yourself apart. A lot of people don't do that. And they thinking they banking on the interview. And really we could use that as a coaching philosophy, because as coaches, we always say that you gotta do it before the game. You game mode when you're in practice, right? So if you do everything you're supposed to, you go hard in practice, the game should come easy to you, right? You should just take what you had and just take it to the game if you do everything you're supposed to do in practice. So like you said, that doing everything on the groundwork, that's what I did. I did everything before that process really came. I took care of everything because now when I go to the process, they already know about me now. So now they see that the work I put in before I went to that interview, that if this guy is really, he really cares, or he really, really want this job because he set himself apart. He went the extra mile, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did on that part. And then once I went to the interview, you're exactly right to have me to, it wasn't just a regular interview like we used to have back in the day. They want you to get up and they want to see your knowledge. They want to see what you know. They want to see, hey, if you is 4 seconds left in the game, what kind of play you gonna have? Draw it up on the board, and that things like that. If you fluent with it, and they're gonna say, okay, he's knowledgeable, he know his stuff. But like you said, character come in with that as well. They got to know me before they saw my knowledge, if that makes sense. And then they just put my character and my knowledge together, because you can have a knowledge all day and be a turd, and that's not be for the kids' need. So it just because they know their children.
Yep.
They know their children. And then, well, like you said, when I went to the game, I got to know their children as well before they became mine.
Yep.
So, and I started, and what made it even different that set me off apart with, I think it was me and another person that was going for the job. And the experience level, and I had to learn this too, experience level when we was growing up, if you have experience, that can get you over. Not these days. It's, I mean, it's who you know instead of what you know these days.
Okay, there you go.
And that's just the truth. I mean, we just had, that's the nature of the beast, like you always say, and that's the truth. I mean, we just had to get with it, and it's what you know. So what I did, like you said, to set myself apart in the interview, I started calling the names out
Hmm.
of the kids.
There you go. That's smart.
So I started calling the names out and what they and their weakness and their strong.
Yep.
Now they say, okay, he really been studying these kids, and that's what, man. Like Simon, like my number 10. I
Yep.
mentioned Simon about how he can shoot and things like that, and I mentioned Elijah and just stuff like that, and it just set them apart, and they were like, wow, okay, now he knows he have really set himself apart because he have studied, he have did the groundwork, like you said.
Man, that's important though, coach. And we probably can let the cat out the bag now, but I can remember just sending you a little film though too about Pelahatchie because I was
Mm-hmm.
in school.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we did that aspect of it. So again, it's so many levels to it in coaching. And you dropped a lot of dimes there. And just saying that like connection, that's very big. Things that set you apart. So it's just so many things that I'm glad that you shared because it's so many different things that coaches can go through and listen to. And so when they go into these interviews, it can be very, very powerful because I know right now we're recording this in March. We're on spring break right now, but it really depends on when you watch this episode. But most of the time when we come back from spring break, this is when a lot of the interviews are going to start happening. So hopefully that some coaches who are thinking about interviewing are really listening because these things are going to help set you apart, as coach said. Let's dig in a little bit into some basketball, coach. And we kind of led to it a little bit, but coach, our topic today is I want you to talk about coaching, and people don't realize this too, coach, and maybe not about myself as well. At one time, you and I coach boys and girls at the same time. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but our main topic is going to focus on how do you navigate the ins and outs of being at a small school? Because a lot of individuals, and I thought this too, coach. I thought small school basketball was what it was, small school basketball. Like I really thought that it's not as complex as what we grew up. Of course, I know you from Louisville. I went to Merle. I'm like, man, basketball would be easy down here. But what you don't realize is that, and one of my favorite teachers who works in the high school association now, Miss Dawson, she would tell me a lot of times that it doesn't matter if you're in 1A, 2A, 3A, or whatever class you're in, that's major for that class. Like those are major programs in that class. And coach, I think you have done a great job of working through their process from your transition from, in high school when you were an athlete, being at a larger school and then working at a smaller school and then being at a big school and then coming back to a small school. So you have a great knowledge of wealth. So I'm excited for individuals to be able to hear that because sometimes you everybody wants to start off in a big job. Of course, now we got 7A next season. So everybody want to start off 7A.
Right.
But a lot of times it may not happen like that. Sometimes it works like that. I
Yeah.
know we talked with Coach Foster a couple of episodes back. She was able to walk and start coaching at Brandon High School. Sometimes it happens like that, and sometimes it doesn't always happen like that. So, Coach, talk to us a little bit about your Knox Pater days. You can talk to us about whatever path you decide, Coach. You can talk about coaching girls and boys at the same time, or you can just talk about just the program in general at Knox Pater, because I know when you left, and we'll get kind of to it later on. The people at Knox Pater love you, and they still love you, Coach. And to be honest, Coach, man, if they probably could move you down there, or take your house, take your family, Coach, they'll probably fly you in and set you up in Knox Pater like you one of the
Right.
big time coaches in the Division One, and you are a big time coach. So talk to us a little bit about your Knox Pater days.
Like you said, I'm from Louisville, so I'm very familiarized in Noxapater. Noxapater, I started really with Noxapater in 2009.
Mm.
I started then, I think well, I was assistant for 3 years there under Robert Johnson, Coach Johnson. Now he's at the Abbeville. He used to coach, and I think he left and went to Moss Point. Well, he went to Van Cleve. Yeah, I couldn't get it out. Van Cleve. He went to Van Cleve and coached there for 70 so many years. But yes, I was under him um, for Noxapater, for the years that I was there, and I grew to love Noxapater. At first, to go all the way back into my childhood, we in Louisville. Uh, it is just a testimony that I never thought I would be at a place like Knox Place. Like you said, having that mindset, being in Louisville, Mississippi, anything about Louisville, Mississippi, it's all about football. It's a football country. Okay, we use football and nothing in Louisville, Mississippi. And being at that time, we was a 4A school, and it just on the high A was the 5A, 106A. They really tell me my age now. 106A and definitely 107A. Okay, the highest was a 5A, and that was Star from Mississippi and Columbus and things like that. And we really was like, I think they said we was almost so many. At the time I didn't understand the roles, but students away from being a 5A, because we played all the 5A schools like Starsville, Columbus, Tupelo, and of course West Point was 4A, and New Hope was more 4A just like us. So that was a big time for us. So we thinking at that time it's a big school, being a small school like Knox Pay. I went there one time, to a game because I was feeling this girl or whatever. and so we just went to a game, and that's and I said, man, we kind of laughed at it. I'm not gonna say it, like we kind of laughed at how the outlook was. And because like you said, that big mind thinking, that big school mindset, that is everybody don't have it like this. So you do see kids to this day, they go to certain schools and they kind of giggle and laugh because they don't look like their school and things like that. But it's a lot of joy and a lot of pride and a lot of golden nuggets at those small schools if you just have to see it. And God, I guess, he do have a sense of humor. Guess what? He sent me back when I graduated. Never thought I'd be coaching at that time. And I started coaching there in 09. And so it was a great time when I was there for those 3 years. And we was doing boys and girls. I was assisting boys and girls, mostly boys at that time. And so I left and went back home to Louisville, and I was assistant for Brian Thomas, which he's the boys head coach at Leak Central now, Brian. So, and I left there, of course, and went to Leak Central to be a track coach and things like that. Then when the opportunity came to go back to Noxapater, that's when I went there and I took the job. At first, it was just the head boys job. And you had mentioned Coach Robertson earlier. Still a great dear friend, a great sister of mine to this day. She's at uh, West Lounge now. And of course, she's the head coach at West Lounge, the girls coach there. She's doing a great job with those girls there, an amazing job. So she was the girls and I was the boys, but I was assistant girls and she was assistant boys, and we just had a great time. And that year, before that year, that's why I always try to hop on my boys. They don't where you started, where you finish. And that's the most thing, people looking where we started here and where your finish is where it matters. And that's where it matters. So before I took them, when we left in 2012, we'll go to the first round playoff. But at that time, 1A they had some ballers. And if you probably remember Dexter and all them, I don't know you remember them guys, that team Dexter and them guys can play, of course, Duran and yes. And my mentor, of course, King Ross, he was coaching Duran at that time. And that's how I met him in 09. And we've been, he's been a mentor ever since. And just great times, and that finally it was hard to compete. Then, and after that happened, they probably won 5 games out of 5 years. That was very bad. But when I came there, they still was hungry. went to some games before, just seeing, hey, I might, take this program one day, and I just stepped out on faith again, and they had like 6 guys playing. That's it. 6 guys, 6. And only really 2 of them that really could play. Everybody else just here, get the ball and pass it. It was that embarrassing, man. And so once the Lord blessed me to cross that path to go back, when they offered me the job, and I went, and you could feel you could feel the atmosphere just shift. It's like they got hope. They had hope just bled that school. And that year, of course, when we met the year, and we went, what was it, 0-3? 0-3. I still remember like yesterday. The first game we lost by 1. I guess the boys, of course, all played football. We lost against Ethel by 1. We was winning by 10. They said, Coach, this is what they ever told. They told me, Coach, we never been up before in the game. Never been up. Junior high to high school, they'd never been up before. So they didn't know how to manage the time with nothing. So, I mean, when I say scrape from bottom to nothing, I had to start from scratch. And of course, I was a young coach at that time myself, but I was a mid, anyway, but so we played against Upora.
Yeah.
And we was winning that game by 18. Like I said, Upora, I mean, they all were shocked that Oxford was winning, was even close up on us. Came back, they beat me they shoot 3 and won by 1. And so then, of course, came to your house the next game. Because you got to remember, these seniors, they tired of losing. It's 0-2 now. And we came to y'all, we was up, and y'all came back and beat me at the end, and your guy shot that. I still remember. I remember that. Shot it, and old guy caught the ball on the goal and shot it and won the game at the buzzer. Remember that?
I remember, man. It was an air ball that
Yeah, air ball. Yep. And made it. And my guys, they remember they didn't really, they weren't being disrespectful. They just say they were tired of losing. And you remember they didn't want to shake your hand.
Oh, they walked off. Yeah.
They walked off. They walked off, and it was the seniors. They walked out, and they were 0-3. Yeah. And they said, Coach, it's the same feeling. And that when you remember, I went down there, and I told them to come back. And that dialogue with those kids at that time before they came. Yep. No, I said, if you want to play on this team, your character gonna be different from now on. And we build integrity, we build character. That's what your coach stands for. Win or lose, this is who we are. And that's when they came back and shook your hand. Mm-hmm. And it was D. Malik, rest Malik Soul, the one that passed away, came back and shook your hand. When we got in the locker room, they said, Coach, I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of losing. I said, let me tell you something. We're not going to lose very long. I said, but you got to have that. You got to be a leader of this team. Y'all been through the fire, and these young ones coming up, so they seeing you. Just hold on with me just a little while longer and watch it change. Yeah. I was speaking life in these kids. At the time, I didn't know I was speaking life in these kids. Because, our job as mentors, because that's who we are, because these kids see us more than see their own family.
They do.
So some of them do look at you as a father figure. Yeah. And they can't wait to see your response. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them take it as the way you tell me or teaching me, I got to see it too. So you want me to do these things. Yeah. But are you about it? And that's the kids today is that you about it. I got to see you about it before you can tell me.
You do.
Our coaches back in the day tell the run through a brick wall, we will. And won't no questions be asked. But we tell these kids to run through a brick wall. They want to see, can you run through a brick wall for them too? But it's just the point of their life, and they've been around, and they have struggled a little bit more than we have. And that's just the way it is in society today. It is. So that right there, man, we have played my homeboy Lucky. congrats on them from winning the state title this in Northwest. Joshua Lucky. We played them at Union.
Yep.
And that game there, we lost by 9. We lost that game. But for the first time, they played as a team. They didn't really know how to play for each other or play with each other. So it took time. Practice was hard. They was tired of the practice because it was hard because we were changing it, right?
Changing the process.
Changing the process. And that game there, it's just like a light went out. And we won, I think I looked at it a while the other day. We won 11 straight after that. We went 7-1 in district for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Beat West Lowndes. If you familiar with West Lowndes and Coffee and all of them up there, East what is it? West Tibble Hall, East Tibble. Them some teams up there in 1A and 2A. And so we beat them, and they were shocked. Guys went to the district championship, 1 game away from going to state at that time. Something that never happened. Won a first playoff game at home. Play against we play Mount Olive. That when that last McNair kid was there, he could jump out the gym. Played against them and beat them. And it was just something. We play Coffeefield the next game. But just having, like you said, that change, just had that change. And the only thing changed was just to believe in yourself and your teammates. Believe that you can win. And I brought that to Pelahatchie. I went all the way back from 2 to 10 years ago. I think they had 1 good run out of 10 years. If I'm, missed it, I apologize. But in 10 years, when I look all back at Max Prep, because that's old school Max Prep, I went all the way back to Max Prep. They had that great run. Then they even went to the big house one time.
Yeah.
But I told them that was only 1 good year. You have 2 good years now. I told them this past season, if you come out and play like you're supposed to, if you don't, they're going to say it's a fluke for that last year. Okay? But you came out again this year and did better than you did last year. So that tell you have a winning program. You've been consistent. And coaches, we based on being consistent. And that's how basketball is, just being consistent.
Coach, that's some good information, man. And of course, in that 11 game winning streak, man, we came back down to Noxapater, man, and I knew that I didn't know Coach as well as I know him now, but I know any coach is competitive, and I told my guys, I said, when we come in this gym, because we had been doing pretty good, we were slowly kind of getting to a good feel for us as well. Because that might have been my second year at Pittsburgh. Yeah, my second year at Pittsburgh. And so we was kind of getting into a good groove too. And I don't think my guys really listened to me. And fans, man, Noxapater, man, Coach Porter, man, they put one on us so bad. And my guys were looking around like, because I want to say Coach Don, they almost scored 100 on us that night. Like every cylinder, man. Like the shots were going in, the defense was locked down. You could tell Coach had them super, super prepared. And now hearing this, I didn't realize that y'all was on an 11-game winning streak. So that was amazing to be able to see, because to be able to bounce back from a loss like that, and that's a challenge for coaches sometimes, is that when you play teams multiple times, to get your kids up to play that same team again, sometimes for some weird reason, the kids think the game is going to be the same. And and I try to emphasize to my kids, I know Coach does the same thing, that this game is going to be totally different. They're going to come in with a different scheme, a different game plan. They're going to be a little bit more hungry to get this win than before. But man, since then, Coach and I have been battling back and forth, and we're going to talk about that later on in the episode. But yeah, man, Don, they scored 100 on us, and they got back to life. They're like, Coach, Noxapater almost scored. I said, yeah. I said, these boys ain't playing. And Coach, did y'all end up winning district that year? Was close that year, or what was that year?
Well, we was close to winning. West Lowndes beat us by 10 at their place, and they beat us. And I just say, if it was somewhere else, if it wasn't in West Lowndes at that year, because it was there at West Lounge at the year. If it wasn't there, we would have, that game, we would have beat them. I really think we would have beat them. But my guys never, like I said, never experienced that before. And like you said, that beating them in the district, because I said that 11 game was doing the district as well. We was first in the district.
Yeah.
And then to go there and lose against them in the tournament, in the championship tournament, it was amazing to even experience that, to see my boy how excited they was, to see him, and I could just say the guy was D Woods, it was Malik, it was excuse me, JT, it was all those guys, man, Padre, uh, it was Breon right now playing. I think he at Alcorn right now. Malik Miller. Malik was the one that he ended up passing away. And I guess if you want to touch on that, we can too. But that's why it's so important for me to try to be for these young, especially young black guys, young black men around, because you never know. You never know. So you always have to be alert and be ready and know your every area, know your every situation and who you're hanging and who's hanging with you. But overall, man, it was so, people love a winner. I tell my kids now, I say, is this a phrase that people use? And I always remember it. They ask a question: did we win or did y'all lose?
It is.
Did we win or did y'all lose?
Uh,
So everybody love a winner.
I do.
And I still remember it was like old school wrap around the whole wall. It was just people I ain't never seen that many folks come and knock Spada. But like you said, they heard us winning. It got to the news, folks. The people in the news start coming. It was just exciting just to be a part of that, and for Malik to shine like he did. It just was amazing. It was just amazing.
Man, coach, that's good, man. It's two things that I'll touch on and I move on. Just when you when you said that you couldn't about the Pelahatchie and all those different things and didn't know about it. I didn't know about Pisgah, but the thing that I'm laughing about is I hear you naming these schools, and a lot of coaches that probably have only been on the big school level probably never heard of these
Yeah.
schools before. But when you get in a small school, you go to places that you never heard before, like I've never heard of Noxapater, like I said, Mount Olive, Eupora, Elko, it's so many small schools out there, like it's crazy. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing I take from it is being exposed, because I've always been in the metro area, so I only know the big schools, but to be able to go to these small towns, we've been to French Camp, Mac Adams, Lee County, it's
Hamilton, yeah, all of them, yeah.
when we were in the north in 2A, we're going to Riverside, South Delta.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rich basketball culture. And then the second thing, and then we're going to talk about something else, Coach. Is you right? You are right though. You have experienced a kid pass away. After my first year, I had a kid pass away, and that really that was really tough, Coach. And I don't know, sometimes you're emotional about it. I am too often, because it catches you off guard, because you just expect things. You expect kids to come back through the door. You expect kids to be there. And when their lives are taken from them, sometimes in a tragic incident, and sometimes it's just of natural causes, those things really, really hit different. And the kid, Damian Watson, that we had passed away in a car accident trying to get to an AAU game. And had an accident and of course passed away. But the thing that really stood out to me, and the thing that I share as a part of our program and culture, is that day we were in the gym working out. I felt like Damien had an opportunity to be able to play college basketball. And so when we were playing pickup in the off season, I didn't call in the fouls, and he was getting super upset. He like, Coach, you letting these guys foul me. And of course, you know that at old school mentality, hey man, you got to toughen up, be tough. And in my mind, I know what I'm doing. And you said it, Coach, and this is key. I know I'm trying to make you tough, but kids in this generation, you have to explain to them what's going on. You said it perfectly. When our coach told us something, we'll do it. It ain't no ifs, no ands, and no buts. If coach ain't calling fouls, he must be doing it for a reason. But in this generation, kids don't understand that. So practice ends that day. I'm upset with him. I'm upset with him. He's upset with me. And coach, I know better. I don't know why I did this. And this is the part that hunts me out of anything. I know that you should chop things up, have peace, and be super, super forgiving and let it go because I know that, coach. But for some reason that day, I told myself, man, I'm a just wait because we had a banquet that evening. I said we'll have a banquet. I'm gonna say some good things about him because he won most valuable player. But coach, I didn't fix their relationship because in my mind, I'm thinking let cool heads prevail, which is good sometimes. I'm not saying that's not, but I should have talked to him that day. So the banquet ends, coach. Again, we say good things to each other. We saying the right things, but we're not addressing what's really going on. I go home. I know he's going to a game, and I'm still kind of upset because it's like he kind of in a hurry to get through the banquet to go to the game, and that's my flesh. And I get a call the next morning, and they tell me he passed away. And no lie, coach, I broke down, man. I cried literally for an hour, and it wasn't because necessarily of him passing away. It was because of my behavior and not saying, "Hey, man, let's fix this." And so and that's not me though. I don't even know like I'm always trying to do the right thing. And so every time my guys leave the gym and I coach girls at the time, we always had to say, hey, I love you. And if we had anything going on, we got it fixed before we left that gym. And so that just
right.
happens. So I'm glad you said that, and hopefully they help somebody out, not just in basketball, in life. Man, life is short. Appreciate who you have, be forgiving because each second of this life is not promised to you. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw my faith out there. Each and every day you got to evaluate your life, and if today's your last day or your last second, are you right with Jesus? And if you're
That's
not,
right.
pray that you take time to get to know him. So I'm glad you said that.
And let me and I know, like I said, we'll talk forever, because that's how we are, me and you, brother. But and that's why that taught me. Back to Malik is at first this kid that he didn't know what he wanted to do for life. He didn't. I mean, he pretty much like I was when I grew up. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have a path. I didn't have a future that I want. I lived my life at that moment. Definitely wasn't going to college. I did some things that I'm not ashamed of because it got me who I am. It got me to say yes to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But it's a testimony that I do have, especially for the young, black guy that's out here that's doing those things. To relate to them that you too can get get away from that and have still have a wonderful life, an abundance life the Lord had promised us. But with him, man, it was every day. I talked to him every day. He want to talk. He was going against it at first. He was, and then so the Holy Spirit kept having me talk to him. Like I said, I didn't force it. I just when he wanted to, I knew that it was boundaries that he was searching, and he was asking, he was hoping that because he was looking for it. So we even had a Bible study. They wanted it in the locker room, and we discussed a lot of things. Had one young man that he wanted to have it because he wanted to prove me wrong, and they let he could prove me wrong, but he couldn't prove our Lord wrong. So it ain't mean like you said that flesh. That's what people mess up when you can prove me wrong all day, but you can't prove the absolute truth wrong because it's always gonna stand on its own. And I get to preaching that in another day. You want to preach, I preach. But anyway, him, man, he didn't, like you said. I took him to EC. I took him to do a trial at EC. I took him I took him all the way to Blue Mountain for a trial. Just took him away just to get him experience with these things, to get him, just say, Coach, it's more than just not for paid out there, right? So he wanted to be a decent auto mechanic. He ain't know none of him. So I took him down there, let him see. He fell in love. Went to school, had him come back, talk to the boys, something that he would never did. He did it. And one day, it was on a Monday morning, I was going to work. He was going to school. He always blew at me when he see me. And that last Monday, I never forget it. That last Monday, he blew it at me. I'm still kind of tear-eyed with it now, but he blew at me, and when I got the call that he got shot, of course, and it just gun violence. It just broke my heart, man. It did. Of course, I had to get on the news and I had to speak in front of his funeral. I think that was one part of me I had to leave because I'm not gonna lie, Knox Pater kind of put there. It's like it was just too much on me, and nothing I couldn't handle. But staying here was God gave me an opportunity to get out. That's when I went to Northwest Rankin, and but I still love those kids to this day, and they know it. When they see me and I see them, it just, I did, like I said, we did a whole thing, did a whole transformation you remember how the basketball court used to look the first time and how God had me we changed that whole gym up, and it was just some wonderful things. And they still doing it to now. I still used to get called from parents, they on your floor with them shoes. I said, I'm not there anymore, but they still were calling me because I ain't playing about, but don't be no shoes, don't have no boots on, none of that, right? So that's us coaches. That's how we do it because we put a lot of. And what old coach told me, so no one gonna appreciate your gym but you. So because you put the whole work in. But going from I'll script a little bit, really kind of staying in. You said about going from a small school into a big school. I got the opportunity, of course, to go to a Northwest, and to a 6A school and coach girls. I went with Coach Ross. I was the head girls, ninth grade and assistant high school. And it having girls and boys at a small school, uh, like you said, that's coming that you make more money, like you make more money being in the big schools than of course the small school, which is true. Having the girls and the boys at Knox Pater, when I left and went to Northwest Rankin, just being a head ninth grade and assistant high school, I did make more money than I may have been a head coach of girls and boys for junior high and high school. It's crazy. It is crazy, but
it is.
But that's just the way it is. But like you said, I guess we could say as a seasonal coach now, you look back at those times and say, which one is profitable for you? Is money or peace? Yeah. Right? So being in a bigger school, even though the money was there, it's still problems every day. You're gonna deal with more stuff because Northwest got at that time when I started on 2019, it was about 2,000 kids, 1,900 kids, almost 2,000. It went up 21. I don't know what it is now. It probably went since the big school done came, new school done came. It's a lot of kids, and it's growing every day. And just being in the atmosphere with all different types of kids, being here at Flowood, moving out here at Flowood, it was just all new to me and my family. The first year we struggled because it was just didn't know no one. Just the difference of my wife was at Oakdale at that time. And my kids, of course, my oldest daughter was in the ninth grade. And my son was in middle school. My youngest baby she was in the second. I can't remember where she was in second or third. So that whole transition, and it was different from a small school to a big school. Something I never experienced besides the high school I've been coach at was a 4A school, my own type of school. And to go into a big jump to a 6A, it was different. But I'm glad I got the experience to be a part of that, to have those Northwest kids. It's kind of like was Knox Pater, and I still to this day, just seeing them. I always tell my kids leave a legacy. If you see one of our red shirts on the back of it said leave a legacy. Yeah. Whatever you do, wherever you at, try to leave a legacy. Leave something positive wherever you at. I don't care if you go to a grocery store and you meet some people. Remind those people when they go to that grocery, they're gonna remember that. I remember I talked to this young man, a young lady, and it was just wonderful to talk to, or whatever. You leaving something, and you always leave some part, like you said, because our days are numbered, and you don't know when the Lord can call us home. And I don't make jokes with it, but I tell my students, I tell them all the time. I say, Lord, take me home tomorrow or today. You could lie and say I was the worst coach ever.
Yes, true.
But one thing I'm gonna say, don't lie and say that he didn't love Jesus. Because that's one thing I do. I love my Lord and Savior. And I have tried my best to show him to you. And that's the day I try to live. So
Coach, I think that's amazing, man. And to be able to leave Knox Pater and to go to Northwest, I know that was a a transition, and we had talked about that when you were at Noxapater and I was still at Pisgah, and you was asking me about the area, just getting me familiar with the area. Originally, I'm from Jackson. When I took that job at Pisgah, I moved to the Flowood area, and so we talked about those different things. And I know that it was a big transition. I know it was good because I know when Coach Ross came down, and shout out to Coach Ross, and did an amazing job with Mac Adams
Yep.
last year. Of course, put his team in the Coliseum year after year. Just fell a little bit short, but an amazing guy. Something else that you mentioned on, I'm gonna talk a little bit about Northwest, and we'll move on to some basketball things. You talked about being at a small school, and this is the thing that people got to realize of being at a small school.
Mm-hmm.
I said it right. The money is totally different. The money is totally different. You go to a bigger school, you're gonna get paid more. But this is something that you got to remember, and this is something that Coach mentioned, and he still does the same thing at Pelahatchie. You're gonna have to coach some more sports. If you coach some more sports, it will take a little bit more time, but coaching sports will allow you to be able to kind of make up some of the money that you could make somewhere else. But you gotta put it in, like, you know, Coach, he coached, I know Coach had cross country, track, probably did a lot more. I know when Justin and I was at Pisgah, we had cross country, we had bowling. We had thought about getting into esports. Of course, we're coaching girls and boys. And those are the things that you got to do. And then the second thing is that people don't realize, who are not familiar with small schools, the reason that small schools are competitive is because most of our kids play all type of sports. So you rarely get to see your kids. So you can't necessarily have a full off-season workout. Especially if you're on the boys side, you can't have a real full season preseason workout because most of your kids playing football. So when I broke it down, I had a point guard, Cooper Patterson. He played football, basketball, and baseball at Pisgah. I had him 4 years when he was a freshman to a senior. When I did the math, I only had him equivalent to 1 year. And he played for 4 years. But that's because in a small school, he had to play football. He started, I think it was cornerback, a DB in football. He started point guard with us. Then he went to baseball. And as soon as baseball, he's back in football. So those are the challenges. So before you just say, I don't want to go to a small school really gives you the strength. And it gives you the perseverance to prepare you for these big jobs.
That you're exactly right. When I was at Noxapater, I was people asking what wrong with you. At the time, when I first year, I was the course head boys, junior high and high school. I was a football coach. So they had me to Rob Stephen. Of course, they gonna have me because I'm a football guy. I'm a basketball guy. Play Rob receiver most of the time. So I was Rob Stephen. Then I went to baseball.
Yep.
So I was football after basketball season, then basketball, then baseball, because they knew that I played all the sports and was toot your own horn some a little bit. I was a good athlete in all three of those sports. And of course, you have to, if you're gonna compete, you got to compete in all of them, and you got to be leap in every one. And that's what Louisville brings out of you, because you got a lot of different athletes there. And if you want to make yourself, be known, you're gonna have to practice every day and make yourself better, because there's gonna be some jokes just like you or better. And so being in all three of those, they knew that, so they had me in all three of them. But like you said, it's just being in a small school has its pros, a lot of pros, but also have its cons. Is the cons? I just think it is just having those multiple hats to put on. And like you said, you hit it right in the head. It do build that strength. It's gonna really see where you at as a man or a woman. You really about that life. Yeah. And old heads always say it. You hear growing up, especially our young coaches that's coming up, that's hearing this interview, that you probably already heard it. You're gonna hear it say, you gotta pay your dues. Right. And you never knew what that, pay your dues, just thought maybe just show up. Paying your dues is like is the thing that, like you said, the heartaches, the pains, and the suffering that you got to go through, and just those hours that you say you put man hours that you got to put in constantly over and over and over, and know how to manage all those different types of manage all the different types of players that play multiple sports, and just all that, and that's how you pay your dues, and you learn that by going through that struggle.
Yes, sir. And coach,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize this too. Got to drive that bus too, coach.
Gotta drive that bus, man. Gotta drive that bus.
Bus, man. I'm gonna tell you this though, and it's my guy Justin, Coach Justin Sanders at Germantown. Man, we were he ain't have his bus like I drove that bus for 6 straight years. And I'm glad he got it now.
Yes.
You know, he get to Germantown now. He gonna get his bus license now, but he with me.
Yeah.
He drive that bus. But hey, man, you gotta drive that bus. So it's a lot of pros and a lot of cons to that. Coach, we're gonna talk a little basketball, but again, at Northwest, man, I want you to just, very, very briefly. Of course, we know we got Coach Taylor on the girls' side. Is that right?
Yes.
Just tell us something, just a little bit something about Coach Taylor. I know you work with her. Of course, she was on the level, then came down to the high school level. Of course, a guy that you and I know in common, Coach Judge. With Coach Judge, call him Judge. Just talk a little bit about Judge, and then just talk a little bit about Coach Luck. And I know there's some other coaches there. These are some coaches that I kind of just talked to throughout my career. Just talk a little bit about those three individual. I know you mentioned Coach Luckett a little bit. Good guy, man, super chill guy. And I've been making fun of Coach a little bit on this one. When you see Coach Luckett, when I saw him in the beginning of his career in Northwest, Coach would always, he would always sit down coaching. And I'm looking, but this one, I wasn't worried about him sitting down. People may have been, but I was looking at this man is smooth, chill, and cool, and his guys getting it done. I'm talking about they getting it done, Coach. And I talked to him this past summer at Yazoo. I said, Coach, y'all doing good things, man. I said, I'm not trying to, blow smoke up you. I'm just really just encouraging you, and I feel like they could do good. But I noticed them last 3 or 4 games, Coach Luckett, boy, he couldn't find them.
Been sent down.
The whole time. I gotta have Coach say, man, what changed from you sitting and standing? But I'm just messing with Coach. But
all
up on the show, man. But just talk to us again a little bit about just very brief about Coach Taylor, Coach Judge Ware, and I got Coach Luckett.
Well, before that, since to come to Northwest, I gotta get, like you said, big shout out to my big dog Ross, Kenyon Ross. If it wasn't for him, Lord using him, I wouldn't be nothing about going to Northwest. So we definitely got to give honors where honors due.
Talk a little bit about
that part.
Talk a little bit about Coach Ross too. Again, no knock to him as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
Even this summer, man. This summer, of course, being at Richland, seeing my program after the game, man, he didn't have to say anything. He just gave me some encouraging words, and he said, Coach, just keep doing your system. They're gonna eventually get it. Don't stop.
That's him.
And something else that he did the year previous, we were at Pisgah, and we tried to beef the schedule up, and we got Mac Adams to come to Pisgah. And I didn't know really how the game was going to go, but I knew our guys needed to play that level of competition because the year before we lost to Coahoma County. So I said, we got to add a couple more teams to prepare us. And we were blessed to be able to beat Coach Ross and his team. And after the game, he comes up and he talks and very give me a lot of compliments. And that was surprising because in this game, that don't happen. Everybody is a doggy dog world, but it showed that after a game, of course, I lost. I'm disappointed. To him to be able to say things that were very in a complimentary way toward me stood out. So again, talk to all those coaches, man. They definitely don't want to throw Coach Ross to the side, man. Just talk to us about Coach Ross as well.
Oh man, like you said, he's I always say he's a one of a kind dude. He is a guy that if you first meet him, by just seeing him from a distance, you'd think that Joker was a hard-nosed, which he is, hard to talk to kind of guy. He's not. He loved giving information, the things that, because the years that he don't have rings after rings, and I've been knowing him since 2009, and I got to meet him. So it's been over 10 plus years that me and this guy have built a relationship, good and bad, ups and downs, and mostly all of the 10 plus years been ups. I kind of was in my own head when I came down with him. I knew he was very knowledgeable when he was at Durant, and he was at McSullivan. I'm saying the name right. He was there. Then of course he went to my hometown, Louisville, and he's at McAdams. Then he left McAllis and won all the rings and came back home to Louisville. And he did all he did at my hometown, Louisville. And we still were just connecting. And he always used to call me and we just talk, and he just encouraged me. Like you said, as a young young guy, young black male. He would just tell me the ins and outs. He'll tell me things. Like I say, I am blessed over the years, the past, to have a great system, a great network, a great tree. Going from him to going to a coach named call him Hilliard Hudson. He right now he's over there. He's the superintendent at Kemper County right now. He's a superintendent now. So them and all them guys is just taught me a lot of things, and I was blessed to have that, to have the knowledge that I have because of them. Ross was a kind of guy he's straight, hard nosed what he do.
Yep.
He ain't gonna sugarcoat with you. And when I got the chance to actually work with him in Northwest, he saw something in me that I didn't see. And you know, at the time, like you said, that pride gets you, and that flesh come in, and he sees something, and you think you know something. And he telling me straight up, and like, dude, I'm being honest, why you getting on me all the time? You know, but he was showing things to me and that I didn't see that he saw. And to this day, we joke about it. I even got mad at him about it one time. And, you know, just being a coach that, think you know it all, which you don't. That's why I go back to try to take every advice that you can. Being you're young, take it. I don't care you old, take it, because you can't never stop learning this game. You can't never stop learning life. And that's what he taught me. And like I said, I give him kudos to him, and that he stuck with me. And to this day, we talk about everything. I mean, he'll just call me, we'll just talk, because he's my big bro. And not just being a mentor, he's really my big bro. And we have built that relationship. And I, for a lot of success I do have, I give it to him. Of course, over the years, I give it to a lot of them, but he's still there with me through it all. And through then he knew I was gonna be mad at him, but he told me anyway. But because we know, for me coming to Pelahatchie and to being in this manage, he taught me. I knew the coaching part, so I'm thinking he was. I think he was. I thought he was testing my coaching skills. It wasn't the coaching skills. It was the management skills.
Yeah.
See, a lot of coaches know how to coach, but don't know how to manage. If that makes sense. Not just the coach, not just getting out there, just coaching and being a facilitator of the game. You got to know the things on the outside of it, right? So you got to know how to manage this thing. And he taught me how to manage everything, the kids, like you said, the different types of the everyday life of just as a coach, as a teacher, and just as a mentor, as a whatever it is the case, know how to manage it. And he taught me that. And I really appreciate him for that. Without him, of course, I wouldn't be able to know. I wouldn't know nothing about being here at Flowood. And he brought me along on his team. And even though he left, he I was gonna go with him. He said, "No, I want you to stay." So I stayed, and he went on and did great things at McAdams. He's still doing great things there. Going back home, doing his thing from Lexington. Then I met Coach Taylor. I'm glad I stayed and met Coach Taylor and Coach Joshua. I mean, meeting them. Is the different type of philosophy of coaches, right? Like I said, she never coached in a high school level before. She always did in collegiate level, and she played, of course. But she was very knowledgeable, very very knowledgeable. I think she'd been on the Coach Dukes, and knowing the system, her system that she had was great. I really loved it. I took a lot of it from her. I did, I took a lot of that from her, and she just knew how to coach the game. And of course, being new in this new thing, like you said, I think you said about Coach Foster, getting into that 6A. I think Coach Foster probably, been there for a couple of years with Coach Murray. I'm saying it right?
Yeah, Coach Murphy.
Murphy. And so she got to experience that, but Coach Taylor just came right in. And so she still had to learn, even though she got a great system, but she had to learn while she's at it, and being at a bigger school, to learn it. So that was a challenge, and I was glad I was there to be a part of, to help her. And being a coach that then had a program and ran programs, and I think that was just something good for her and myself to meet someone like her, and she meet someone like myself. Then to have Judge, Judge, because he done in the college level, been in the high school level, but he coach in Tougaloo and being a head coach and having me and him having, she having us. I think that really helped her. And like I said, overall, she's a great person, great coach. She's just a wonderful and sincere type of person, and still, but like I said, became a sister in the brotherhood with me and her. And to this day, when we talk and we still connect like nothing. We ain't leaving anything off. Judge, same way. Very knowledgeable guy, wonderful guy. I call him Big Teddy Bear. He just the sweetest guy to be 6'5". I just say, man, but he's a wonderful guy. He is. He's a wonderful guy. Kids love him. And I told wherever I'm gonna go, I want to take him with me. So, but he just that kind of guy. We talk about like me and you have a relationship, me and him having. I said, Lord put things in place. Um, I go ahead and just put it in the hat of it that, I did go for the girls' head job, of course, when Cole Ross left, and of course they went a different direction, and it did hurt being rejected from it, but it do teaches you that sometimes failure or being rejected is not always is not always bad. Because if I would have got that job, I would never met Judge. Okay, I would never met Taylor. I would never met the kids at Norfolk. I mean, at Pelahatchie. I wouldn't be there. Okay, my life, my coaching might be miserable being at Northwest Ranking. Who knows? So the Lord knows, and He do things for a reason, and He put people in your life for a reason. So I'm glad through the rejection I got to get to gain brothers and sisters through it. So even the more knowledge of the game. So that was a great staff that we did have when that second year. Cole Luckett, Joshua Luckett, his name is Smooth. that's his name. His name is Smooth. I mean, everybody know him at least Central. He's from Carthage. His name is Smooth, and I pick on him. I call him Denzel. I always call him Denzel, and he know it. But we've been friends since I met him 2015, 14, when I was at League Central. And that first night, and League Central do a what is called a midnight bash for football. And that'd be that jamboree or they meet and greet. And I met him then my first year. And it was late night. And when we met, it was like we just connected. It's like me and you, we just connected. And we've been homies since. Of course, when he left and went to Union, and of course, we stayed in touch every day. And of course, when I knew when he was going for the job at Northwest Ranking, and when he got it, I was excited for my brother, and we still talk every day since then. We talk, every other day or whatever since then. And to this day, then when I got there, it was just, man, it was wonderful, me and him just being together because we knew each other. We've been knowing each other for a long time. So it was just amazing to just like reunite with him. And we just had some great times, man, there. He is the kind of guy that's laid back, but his coaching style I love his coaching style. And I think his coaching style he'll last longer than we do because he's very competitive but he's very competitive, but he's smart. He's a lot younger. I think I don't know, early 30s, I think. I'm mid 30s or something. I think he's in the early 30s. But he's wise beyond his age. He is, man. He know exactly, those kids know exactly he asks for. And most time he can't sit down. The last 4 games, no, he wasn't sitting down. He was standing. And I pick on him every day about it. And, we pick on each other every time we see each other. And we just be excited to see each other. So that's my brother.
And that's cool, coach. And all that you said, man, that's amazing. That's the biggest thing about it. It don't matter what your coaching style is. It don't matter who you are. It's about what you do well. And that's what we just trying to just kind of promote, man. You do what you do well. If you gotta bite the towel, if you gotta throw a chair, which I'm just playing, but if you gotta be on officials, if you gotta walk the sideline, whatever you do, that is you, and it's no problem with that. And I think sometimes. Right. When people come to the game, when some people come to the game, they try to put you in a mold of what a coach is, and far from it. So for all the young coaches, man, whatever is your style, do it correctly. I always just ask, do it with class, man. Be respectful of
That's it.
Respectful of the officials. and the players involved. And so those are great coaches that you work for. Again, I only met Coach Taylor one time, and that's when she was at Mississippi College. We brought our team to the game, and man, she was so hospitable to us. That stood out to me. Of course, Coach Judge, where we went to Jackson State together for a little bit. When he was at Tougaloo, he would always allow, put Justin and I on the pass gate. And man, we would always come to Tougaloo games. And so to be able to see what he is doing at Northwest with a 9th grade girl, I think back-to-back 9th grade champions, of course. Next young guy in line to get a head coaching job. His wife is at Jim Hill, man. She's amazing. It's good to see them. To a husband and wife coaching basketball, they got to be an interesting household.
It is. When we talk about it, it just is a different challenge. Even my wife and I being both educators, she still have a time that she'll be there, coming home, right? But with them, they got practice, they got children, they got games, that's just all tough within itself. So, and they all got small kids too, so that's a challenge. But he smile every day and he ain't fake with it. So they must have a system that he know that a lot of people don't know. So so when you put him on the podcast, you ask him what's the ingredient, what's the secret. So we all need it.
I need to put both of them on at the same time, man.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, Coach Luckett, man, we were of course, every time when school starts, you got to do professional development. And him and I, Coach Luckett and I, we were in the same professional development class. And after the session was over, we actually talked a little bit. And that was my first time really talking with him. So good. Coach, we're going to talk a little bit of basketball and then go through some fast break questions and get you out of here because I know we kind of been on here talking good basketball. Like I said, we do this all the time, so it's normal. So why it's flowing so good. But I do want to address this part, and this can be the basketball part of it. When you and I play every time, Coach, outside of that one game where you beat us down and scored 100 like Golden State, but out of that one game, Coach, every time you and I play the NBA Finals Game 7, and I'm not saying Coach is the best coach in the world, I'm the best coach in the world. It's the competitive level, but it's more about the respect of the style of play. I know that when we play Coach Porter, it doesn't matter if he's at Noxapater, if he's the Northwest, if he's going to be the head coach of the Lakers, we know the style of basketball that he plays. So it's my challenge to be able to prepare my kids for that game. And of course, when we look at the schedule, of course, I'm at Richardson, a 4A school, and Pelahatchie is a 2A school. And naturally, we talked about this earlier. My kids say, "Oh, that's Pelahatchie. Oh, they're gonna be a W." Man, I said, okay, just because we are a bigger school, we're supposed to quote unquote win, as some people say. But let's not get this confused. I said these guys are coached well. This is the system that they're going to play. This is the style they're going to play. And the coach on the other sideline, he's going to make you do things that your team does not do well. So if you don't prepare yourself for this game, it's going to be tough. And of course, we played Coach the first time. Game wasn't really close. They came to our gym this year. We cut it down some. We probably got it down to maybe about 8, 7, maybe a little less than that. But we fought behind the whole time. We fought from behind the whole time. End up losing the game, and it was still a competitive game. And then the kids, we was in the locker room, because I never told you this. They said, "Coach, how we losing games like this?" Hey, I say it's a lot of the preparation that got to go into the respect of your opponent. So the Pelahatchie, later on, about a month later, and we play them at their gym. Coach was out his best player, which I felt was a blessing to us. I didn't tell my kids that. I told Coach this. I said, without the kid that he's missing, Elijah, that's going to really give us a chance to be able to win because my best player had went down with a year with a torn patella at that time. So it really, we were both without our best players, but that game went down. That game actually went down to the last possession, last play, a tip in. So I've said all that to say, Coach, is before we move into our fast break questions, talk to us a little bit about defensive schemes. And I'm gonna tell you a secret because I know you do some things different that you kind of got from Coach Ross. So I ain't gonna tell everybody that I want you to win that championship. So you know what I'm talking about, but they don't.
Yeah, I do.
I'm not going to address that part of it, but Coach, I want you to talk. And it's nothing illegal. I'm not saying Coach doing anything.
Correct.
It's just a scheme that he does, and I actually do it too. I actually used it our last district game of the season. We have been, long. Of course, we didn't have a great season. I'm not gonna make it about me, but the team that had beat us, we almost beat them in the district consolation game because of some things that I learned from Coach Porter about things you got to make an adjustments with. So, Coach, talk about your defensive schemes. That'll be one. And then we'll talk a little bit about offense and talk to us about what do you feel are some best actions for offense. And then we'll get into our closing segment.
Okay. The thing is that I have learned over the years about defense, of course, that's something that you can't pretty much teach, right? You really can't teach heart. I mean, they got to have it or don't. The biggest thing that I have learned is they have to be comfortable with what they're in, comfortable and have confidence of what are you putting them in. And they got to know what to do, right? So a lot of kids these days, you can't make them robotic, right? You can't say, be at this spot, be at that spot, this spot you be. You have to give them a certain mind to think, right? Because the slow process, because they want you to, if you want them to think like you, then never would happen. You'll be mad the whole time you're over there. So what I have learned is the scheme that I do is in practice. Practice, like, so I'm not gonna give everything away, but in practice is that I do is like, just say we're in a full court man-to-man, a full court zone, right? The way that I have it set up is different from the way it is the I guess you want to say the traditional way.
Yeah.
And I asked them, what is the concept of why we're doing this? Okay. We have 3 different ways of really 4 different ways that we run a full court press. I mean, a full court zone, right? So offense don't know which one we're doing. Of course, talking about trapping or not, right? It's the point of getting to your spot and knowing your surrounding. So what I teach now is, because that was taught to me, is I teach them about the line of the ball. Remember the line of, people say the line of the chest, in the middle of the chest.
Right.
Like old coach used to teach me, I always stay in the line of the ball. If I could walk, if I stop, if I can walk, and where that ball is placed, that angle is placed, if I can walk to, I should be able to meet that ball head on, a chest on. Yep. Right? And then you swivel your head and looking what you're looking for. My thing I teach is mine is stay in front of the ball. You got to teach that in practice. Right. Stay in front of, no matter what you're doing, no matter what defense you're in, you still got to stay in front of the ball. So you got to get deep enough to know to see where the ball is. And I use a peripheral vision, right? That you should be able to see. Of course, we teach is get a gap, right? Right. You got to be deep enough to see the ball in your man, right? So you got to know these things. So you also got to use that in the full court setting. You also got to use that in the zone settings. You also got to use that in the man-to-man. And just everything you do, you always just teach them to something that they can understand. So I'm going around it because I'm, like you said, I might, that coach and I might be in the championship. I don't want him to get my stuff. So, but like I said, I learned a lot of stuff from Ross, and he manipulated the system a lot, and he really did, and that's the right word to use. He did. He played everything like chess, and I learned that from him. But at the end of the day, it's really your matchup. I think you hit on it earlier. You got to know your opponent, right? You got to make adjustments. You know, Coach Popovich, I always said, great coaches know how to make great adjustments. Okay. And that's just the truth, making adjustments. And that's one thing I harp on my kids every day. Coaches gonna make adjustment in timeouts and during games. I mean, during halftime. You make adjustments during every second of the game. Mm. So you always got to make adjustment when you're there. Right. Always. You always got to know, and you freelance in mind to be able to learn a game, to be able to teach the game, be students of the game. Don't just be coach-led, be player-led. Know the game. Because now kids want to do what the mindset kids going to do what the coach said. Because you hear coaches coaching and tell them, get here, get there, get here. You got to do that during the game. I mean, during practice. You got to know those things. You got to know why. Like this year, I'm teaching mine. Okay, the last 2 years, one game away from going third round, going to the quarterfinals, right? So two years in a row. So now I'm working on what we have to do different to get over that hump. Okay, what we got to do. Okay, some people haven't really won past the first round playoff, right? Some haven't went to playoff at all. You were blessed enough to go to the playoff 2 years in a row and win both of your home games.
Right.
2 years in a row. Okay. And of course, the first year you should have won against Mid County, and
Free throws.
but free throws beat us. What 18 or what 8 from 18 in the fourth quarter alone. So you only lost by 2, but you were winning by 13 at halftime. So a lot of this stuff I harp on myself. We try to make challenges. Make adjustments. And adjustments pretty much is that the player has to learn how to make the adjustments, right? So what my preparation, my everyday, when I go into just a normal day of fit and play, Coach Sanders at Pisgah. I'm gonna just say that at Pisgah. I know because I got film. We all got film on each other. I know because I've been watching. I've been seeing face to face because I'm gonna go run the game or two, especially when you win a district, right? So I know what I look for. I don't never look for the strong. I always look for the weak. But a lot of coaches that I have learned do look for the weak, but I look for the strong.
Right.
I look for the strong of it. Now, if I see what you can do strong, I'm gonna take that and make it use to your disadvantage, right? So I'm gonna take all of the way and try to make you make adjustments. So what I see, do your kids know how to make adjustments? In the game, the coaches mostly know how to make adjustments. You gonna make adjustments. But the thing is, what I look at is, can the kid make adjustments? When I make him uncomfortable. Yeah. So if he do make an adjustment, I'm watching him, because as I watch each kid that's out there, especially your best players, if he get uncomfortable, what can he do when he get uncomfortable? Is he still the same or he not? And I use that. So I teach that. Like I said, every opponent's different. It is. And then I'm playing man-to-man, of course, old school, we look at, well, he right-handed, make him go to the left. I don't really teach that. I make you do what I want you to do. Because if I want you to go sideline, I'm gonna take you go to the sideline. Yeah. If I want you to go in the middle because I know how to collapse you in the paint because you have no shooters, I want you to do that. So that right there, it just depends on the matchups. I look at the player of it. I could say, not giving too much away, but yeah.
Hey man, and I totally agree with that. I know when you and I played, especially that last year, of course, Ty Smith was an amazing athlete for us. Of course, Day Day was a good athlete for you, and they were similar in a lot of different ways. And I know a lot of what your scheme and a lot of what my scheme was to. I think it changed. Like, do we take them away and let everybody beat us? Or do we allow them to do what they're going to do and stop everybody else? So like those battles were good. And I'm, again, if people can just look at it, like every game was very intense. And again, we got love for each other. When the game starts, we get to what we got to do. And there's no love lost. Like those, it's probably gonna be on the road, but two people that I probably wouldn't necessarily want to play, but look forward to playing would definitely be you, Coach Jerrick Porter at Pelahatchie. And then whenever Coach Justin Sanders at Germantown, whenever he gets his head coaching spot, gets a team, because again, we know each other so well, the ins and the outs. So those are always fun though. It's just like the Bible say, iron sharpens iron. So I know that week coming up, and I do that with all my opponents, just not when I play Coach Porter. But I just know that it has to be detailed. But I just, scouting and scheming is so important. And as coaches, I think we have gotten away a little bit from going and sitting in the gym and watching teams play because of huddle. And I do get it, especially now I get it now with having a little daughter. It's hard to get out and go to games, but seeing people in real life makes a difference, because even though the film is accurate, because the bird in the sky, as they say, don't lie, but when you are in live session, it helps you. Because I can remember, and this was before you got the Pelahatchie with Coach Lyles. It was it was something that I saw a kid do, and I never would have noticed it on film unless I was there live. And Justin and I were scouting, and I said, Coach, look at that. Coach, look at that. And this particular kid, if he could not set his feet a certain way, he couldn't make that shot. And we focused on that, and that small detail helped us win that game and keep us successful in that moment of it. And that was just a small detail. So I'm like you, I'm always looking for details on what I can exploit. And I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at your baseline. Again, I'm gonna learn all your baseline out of bounds plays. I'm going to learn what you do sideline. I'm going to learn what you do. What do you like to do? And what you said, I'm going to try to get you to play that we want to play. But I try to do every facet of the game. And that's one thing that was a great benefit with Justin and I. We learned a lot just working together, is that we knew we gave each other roles, and that was our role. And so Justin and I were able to win a lot of ball games because of God blessing us to be able to do that. And that's kind of why Justin was really a hot commodity when he was looking for somewhere to go. Like, people will always say, and I appreciate, like, man, y'all was a great team. And Justin just was an assistant coach for me. He was a lead head coach because I gave him responsibility. And so I was happy that the schools that gave him a chance, because some schools were not giving him a chance. So I was excited when he got a chance to be able to do his thing, and I'm excited when he get his head coaching gig. All right, Coach, fast break questions, man, and then we're gonna get you out here, Coach. I'm gonna try to fast break, in fast break you're trying to score as fast as possible. So
that's right.
I'm going to just kind of throw you some questions out, kind of get your natural response with it. Because these have been some questions that I've been kind of generating and that I think, that fans want to hear. So, Coach, talk to us about, if you had an opportunity to choose a coaching staff, you could do your all-time coaching staff. Give me 5 coaches. They could be dead or alive. They could be from Mississippi, not Mississippi. They could be high school, college, middle school. Give me 5 coaches that you would have on your staff if you had to take over. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna speak live, Coach. If you had to go take over a 7A program, Coach, and you could bring 5 coaches with you, and of course they don't mind coming with you, no pride would come into the side. It's just you had an opportunity to bring 5 coaches with you, Coach. What 5 coaches are you choosing?
So coaches I'm choosing. Ooh, wow, that is fast break there. I gotta be ready for that one. Well, I got a coach named Rena Hickman.
Okay.
She was my assistant coach. Coach Robinson, the one you said.
Okay.
Coach Judge Ware. Coach Bo Sanders.
Okay. All right. That's what's up, man. Okay. All right, Coach.
Yeah, we talked about that. You already know what's up with that.
Yeah, we did, man. Hey, I appreciate the spotlight.
Yes, sir.
All right, here's a good one. Who's your choice for NBA champion this year, man? Because if you're looking at it, and I know you and I are probably more college guys than NBA guys. Of course, everybody knows I'm a Pelicans fan. Shout out to my team in New Orleans. But who's your choice for NBA champion? Because that West is up and down every single night, man.
Right.
Up, it goes down, it's trade. So who you think gonna win the championship this year?
NBA this year, this type of. If I had to give it to someone, man, I'm had to give it to the Boston Celtics.
Boston.
I'm gonna give it to Boston. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Boston. Right. I just see them finishing at the end. I know they've been off a little bit. Everybody go through a drought. Yeah, but overall, I can see Boston winning it. They winning it.
Be honest, I'm really surprised Boston really doing this good, especially what happened to Coach earlier this year. And, right. And I'm gonna stop right here and say this. This podcast spotlights coaches and the positive parts, and a lot of what we talk about coaches are positive, but I don't want people to get this confused. Nowhere am I saying that these coaches are perfect. Not saying right. Because we're all sinners and we all do the right thing. But there is always good in every individual, and in life we're all gonna make mistakes. So as my best guy said, those without seeing cast the first stone. So when you see coaches on here in our spotlight, you may feel whatever way about them, and that's your opinion. That's fine. But I see the Jesus in every person that comes on. So even though Coach, at Boston made some mistakes, of course we don't condone those things. We don't say that that's what we do. But we do know that everybody's human. So I was surprised that Boston did a good job with that.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. I think these are your two favorite teams, and I could be wrong if I am. Correct me. Is North Carolina one of your favorite college basketball teams?
No.
It's not.
Mm-mm.
Who is it? Is it?
It was Duke.
It's Duke. Oh, so I'm really missing.
Yeah.
All right. So I knew when I was getting this question together, I said, I think it's North Carolina, but that's even perfect. All right,
Yeah.
Duke.
Yeah.
Now, I do know this one. The 49ers is your favorite football team.
I'll ride it out, baby. Bang, bang.
All right. I'm about to give you a tough question, Coach. You got
Okay.
one choice, Coach. You can get a
Okay.
courtside ticket to a Duke basketball game at Duke, when we know the environment at Duke, or you can get a sideline ticket to the 49ers game, Coach. Which ticket are you choosing?
49. Though you can give me you can give me the skybox. I'm still coming. 49ers all day. 49ers. I can see what the blow nose bleeds, brother. Still get 49ers, okay? So I'll ride or die.
49ers till you die.
Yes, sir.
What can we do to make the All-Star game more competitive? I'm not sure if you had a chance to watch it. I didn't watch it. I started to watch it, but just the game wasn't that good. And of course, you may have watched it. Of course, we're all kind of busy.
Yeah.
You make that All-Star game more competitive, man. The NBA All-Star game.
I don't know, man. That is a tough one there. I think I might miss that layup, but that's a tough one there, man. I watched the old one in 90. It was 96, maybe. I can't. No, that year that I can't remember what year it was. Iverson was all in it, and they had their own jersey on.
Yep.
I would love for them to go back to their jersey, like when Jordan them had their own jersey, because that's what the fans, that's what they buy.
Yep.
They pretty much nowadays they are individual fans anyway, right? Players. They're really not a team. That people don't look at teams anymore. They look at individuals, right? So I think it would be perfect to just go back to your jersey, wearing the LeBron jersey, whatever his jersey is wearing. I think it's good to just go back to the West and the East.
Yeah.
And I know they said the West will shout, that makes it even better. Like that, to me, that go back to the 7-6A school versus the small schools, right? So they go back to that. And you'll see the competitors that probably come out of those small schools and see how, because a lot of folks don't pay attention to the small schools or the Eastern like they used to, right? Since LeBron no longer over there, they don't really pay attention to that, right? So I really think they should go back to the West and the East Conference. I think it should be more of a, I don't know. I mean, money make you do a lot of stuff, but I don't know. I think it should be, I won't say penalized, but it should be if you don't go all out like you should for the fans, it should be, I don't know. That's why I say I missed that layup, but.
Yeah, I agree, Coach. Too. It's hard to say because I get it. Again, I'm trying to get people to see this. Every generation is different. Back in the day, 80s, 90s, 70s, man, all you knew was play hard. We ain't worry about analytics or can I get injured. And I know
Exactly.
we are now. These guys are looking at, we got the greatest technology that we've had, obviously. They got statistics that say when this guy should play, he's more likely to get hurt. Boom, boom, boom. So I get that part. I'm like you, Coach. I don't have a solution to it because it's kind of hard to tell a guy who's trying to win a championship. It's kind of hard to tell a guy who's making millions of dollars come out here and play this one game. And it's tough, Coach. So I'm like,
tough.
I don't know how we make it more competitive, but I would like to see that part. Last question, Coach, and I'm gonna talk East and West. If you had to choose one guy, Devin Booker or Jason Tatum, who you going? It's 2-on-2. You get one of those guys. They're your last pick. You going Devin Booker or you going Tatum?
Woo. At the moment right now, I'm gonna go Tatum because Duke Nation, baby. Even though I like old Book, he a mouth point, I get it. But my dog over here mess. I guess I woo she came over. But I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go Duke Nation. I'm gonna have to go Duke Nation on that one. Jason Tatum. I mean, I'm gonna just have to. Size, he can do it wherever. I mean, Booker can too. I mean, it's no lie, but I'm gonna have to go with Jason Tatum on that.
What's up, man? Again, that's tough. Those are two young guys in the game. To be honest, Coach, I was blessed when I was at Murrah High School. 2012, Mossborn came down and played. At school, we played at Lanier Martin Luther King game, and I had an opportunity to be the coach against Devin Booker. And I was a fan, and I've been a fan ever since, man. He beat us, man, shot at the buzzer, 2 guys on him, and it was just amazing. And that's the thing about coach, you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to run into. But just to have that opportunity to be able to say I coached against Devin Booker. Again, not me, is God's glory. Wasn't All right, coaches, we wrap up, man. This was a great interview, Coach. I still, man, you know it, I know it. I still got like 20 more questions on here, but I know we can't be on here all day. I know you got things to do. So, Coach, we wrap up, Coach. I'm gonna let you have the floor. I'll let you just give your conclusion, man. Anything that you want to talk about, say as we wrap this great episode up.
Well, man, I like you said, we can talk all day, and that's what we do anyway. We had to catch ourselves, and time will go by so fast with me and you, brother. And it's just been a blessing to just have a brother like you in my corner, and we were there in partnership together, man. Just this life, not just coaching, just life to have a brother, and to always have a brother. We have those discussions all the time, man. My circle is small, but you in that circle, and I really can thank you for being who you are, and then the Lord use you where He do use you, and your character and your integrity, man. It goes a long way, and I see it every day. And like you say, you see the Lord blessing me, but I definitely see the Lord blessing you each and every day. And I get excited just talking to you. Every time we do talk, we might talk that morning, then guess what? We talk again that night. It seems like I fresh all over again, just talking to my brothers. Is just a blessing to be able to talk to you. And for you doing this here, man, it just is a wonderful thing. I told you that already when I saw you, launching this off. It just the Lord gave this to you, and it just amazing. And of course, you don't have some major coaches that came through, and it's only going to grow from here. And I just appreciate you for allowing me to be a part of that. And I honor you for that. And I honor the God that's inside of you. And that's pretty much all I have, man. Like you said, it ain't about us. It's about Jesus. It's about what He's gonna do through you in this podcast. And I thank you. And I thank you, brother. And before we end, I do want to, pray for you and pray for your podcast as well.
Yes, sir.
I definitely want to do that. So we can do it now. We'll do it when we shut it off.
Go ahead, man.
And so let us pray. Father, we thank you, Lord God, for allowing us to be here, Father God, to honor my brother, Lord God, in his podcast, Lord God. We know that long we continue on, Lord God, letting you be the front and letting you be the foundation, Lord God, it's going to grow. And Lord God, you told us, Lord, just let you have it, and you will do it, Lord God. And we just build this foundation upon you. Lord God, we pray for this podcast, pray for those that come, Lord. Give him the insight, Lord God, the people that he needs to bring. Lord God, let your Holy Spirit just flow through this podcast, Lord, and flow through Coach Sanders' family, Lord God, and the growth of his family, Lord God. We just ask you, Lord God, the riches of this podcast, Father God. We just pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Man, look at that, man. You never know what In the Sand podcast, man, is gonna bring to you. And that's the name, man. When you're in the sandbox, you never know what you get. And trust,
yes, sir.
I'm thankful that Coach prayed for us, man. And I'm hoping that prayer, I'm claiming that prayer in Jesus' name. And I pray that prayer upon everybody, man, that whatever you do, I pray God bless in that manner of it. And of course, Coach and I, we prayed before the episode started. And so I'm excited about that, man. That's special, man. That's the spirit. Like we praying on podcasts, and that's
amen, brother.
Before we go, a couple of things that I do have. Gotta rep my guy again, Coach Porter. This summer league is coming up. You know, everybody's looking for somewhere to play. Pelahatchie, he puts on an amazing summer league. I guess we call it, no, I guess not summer league, but he puts on a shootout where teams come in and play, and all our coaches know what that means. So all I'm saying is, if you look at somewhere to play on Wednesdays, holler at Coach Porter. You know, his number is out there, his information is out there. He's on social media, and he's gonna give you a good matchup. He's gonna get you in and out of there. He's gonna work with you, and it gives you an opportunity to play some guys. And this is for our young high school girls and our young high school guys, our coaches, girls and boys. The competition level is gonna be there. So if you're looking for somewhere Wednesday to play, of course, I'm gonna be there to support them. You know, I'm gonna have my team there. We've been doing this for 3-4 years. If I have something, he come to my spot. If he has something, I'm definitely coming here. So make sure you do that. If you look somewhere to go, Pelahatchie on Wednesdays in June. I think your coaches starting. What's the 3 days in June, Coach?
It's the 14th, 21st, and the 28th. It's the last 3 Wednesdays of the month.
All right, so remember those dates on that one. And then also too, just remember, of course, check my IG out again. We're just raising money for St. Jude. So also, okay, remember that as well. And then also too, I'm just trying to promote. People don't want anything from them. This sweatshirt that I wore today is different. It's from my sister-in-law in Houston, Texas, Tiffany Johnson. She is a big supporter of the show as well. And she has an entrepreneur mindset. She has her own hairline. Well, it's no more of a hairline. I guess it's dealing with the hair products and businesses and the different wigs and things of that nature. With her lady, I think it's Lady Nancy. I hope I'm not saying that wrong. Also, too, she has some drink machines, snack machines. She's doing big. Clothing line. Of course, this shirt pretty much is just saying be your true self. So just big up to Tiffany and what she's doing. And of course, anybody, you know, who wants me to be able to kind of support what they're doing, I'm here for. So again, I just want to empower anybody to continue to chase their dreams. So until next time, fans, and I'm excited about where we're going with this. Continue to please keep supporting the podcast. Please subscribe, please share, please like. And until next time, as I always say, be nice and be kind to someone. And we'll see you on the next episode. Y'all have a good day.